You determine how much masturbating you do.
You're ready to be premature all over again.
Wow, that's impressive.
Quick
bro.
reset.
Yeah.
Quick reset.
Yeah, that's right. Licking gin balls.
It's just going to be a vicious cycle.
Who knew the job was pro bono?
I was so high that I shit myself at some point.
Okay, get still here. Somebody, everybody mute. Goddamn, you're killing me.
Joke's on you. It's actually addicting.
There's nothing wrong with punching above your weight.
To play with you.
better. Well,
I don't know what's worse. You're a ginger or you've been vaccinated.
You sit around and drink and solve the world's problems, right?
Hey, let's go ahead and unwrap this present
So,
and let the debate begin.
Welcome back.
Welcome back.
How's everybody doing today?
back. Oh, I thought we were doing Mr.
No.
Cotton.
Welcome back,
What's
Carter.
up?
Oh, my dad. Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of A Spirited Debate. Happy to have everybody here. This is going to be a good one. I actually have the entire crew back. If you have listened to the last episode, you know that both Haas and the Grinch were out for personal reasons, but they are back this week to lend their voices to the show. Mac, thank you for being here. You did a fantastic job. Loved hearing your voice, as I'm sure everybody else did. Yeah, let's waste no time. How's everybody doing?
Yeah, we just kind of blew our load before. You kind of screwed the whole damn thing
So-
up.
So let's move the train ahead.
I suffer from poor timing.
Right?
You think that's the only thing you suffer from?
Yeah. Oh, no.
Yes, I have missed you guys. It has left this feeling that I have had all week. I'm glad you're back. Let's jump into our drinks. I'm going to go first. I decided to try something based on our topic. Grinch, I talked to you about this. I know we joked the other night. I was like, I'm not telling you my drink. You're not telling me your drink. But I was. Look, if somebody did that, I'm
Brought
telling
what?
you, Zima.
Oh,
I tried. I think I found the recipe. It's the Japanese soda that you have that you got to order, Mac. Is that the thing?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. So I thought about it. Apparently, they did a limited run in 2018 and is now no longer being made. So you can't find it anywhere, which I think is bullshit, but that's okay. Yeah. So the drink I tried based on today's topic is called the Purple Rain. And I'll allow you to make that connection on your own. But it is what I upped the recipe, but it's 3 ounces of vodka. It is 5 ounces of homemade lemonade. It is a half ounce of blue curacao and a half ounce of grenadine. Get your purple color, shake it in a glass, and then you just put a lemon wedge in it. It says that you're supposed to rim it with sugar. I leave rimming to Haas. That's his thing. I'm not a big fan of that. So I just went no sugar, just
I will
straight.
gladly come over there and rim your glass with sugar.
I appreciate that. So it's called the Purple Rain. Obviously, it's purple. And so we'll see how it is. Vodka's not my thing, I can tell you. And thankfully, the lemonade kind of buries the vodka.
Why do you say that? Because technically, vodka has
no
no
taste,
flavor. So,
right?
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
So
You should be tasting everything else that you put in the drink.
I think we all can agree that it has no distinct botanical flavor, but vodka has a fucking flavor, whatever it is, astringent, medicinal, and it definitely overpowers in some drinks. And the lemonade works, but I'm not so sure about this one. So
Yeah, when you first started and you said purple, I was like waiting for the things that were going to make that color because you were like vodka. I'm like, lemonade.
That's
no.
bullshit.
He just put grape Kool-Aid
Grape
in it.
juice, grape Kool-Aid.
Yeah. I'm like, I think you're making this drink up.
And this is courtesy of the Tipsy Bartender. My wife is a fan and follows some of his things online that he does when he makes his drink. So I looked it up. Yeah, it's called the
He's
Purple
all right.
Rain. Oh, so you
I
know.
mean, he's no cocktail flow app, but he's all right.
No, but look, I try to get mine from different sources. I like to spread the wealth and get my stuff from different places. So this happens to be from the Tipsy Bartender. So that's what I'm doing. Purple Rain. Racing Stripe. What are you drinking today, Racing Stripe?
I am drinking this particular recipe was called Papa's Cream Soda, and it's cream soda with and I had cream soda this week. Always love cream soda, so I was looking for a drink that it was in it, and it's 6 ounces of cream soda, 2 ounces of a spiced rum, and then a couple of dashes of bitters.
Was this like a childhood thing, cream soda growing up type?
Yeah,
type thing,
I mean, I've always
was it?
liked cream soda. You know,
It's
I
gotta
don't
be a
drink
ginger
much.
thing.
Yeah, come on now, come on.
I like
I
cream
was about to
soda.
say,
I mean, I like
cream
Dr.
soda
Pepper
is
as
amazing.
well.
Where's your
Yeah.
rig? Really?
Yeah.
You're right.
Ah, see, I
So,
can't.
all right,
I mean,
you
it's
can't hardly
no-
find it here. but I have
Cream
this is like my
soda.
special can, my one can that I
Nice.
have,
And when he has
and
to
I'm
break into
saving
it,
it for a special occasion.
it's behind glass. Break glass in case of emergency.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's no RC and a moon pie, but it's pretty good.
That's
All
right.
right.
Yeah, I used to
Dan, you
bicycle.
leaned into that too easily.
Yeah.
I used to bike up to the Ingalls near my house in Atlanta, and I'd buy a 2-liter of A&W cream soda, drive home, sit in the driveway, and fucking drink it till I was sick. Yummy.
That sounds about right.
Yes, sir. All right, Haas. Missed you last week. What did you bring? What drink did you bring to the table?
Yeah, I missed you guys too. In honor of the topic today and one of our co-hosts, I'm drinking for the first time ever a margarita.
Oh, nice.
Wait,
Yep.
you've
Yep.
never had a margarita on this show?
Never had a margarita on this show. I'm not a big fan of them particularly, but I'm having one. Yeah, with the Don Julio Blanco.
Nice.
Was it? How do you say this? I can never say it. Cointreau. I don't know
Cointreau.
how to say that.
Cointreau.
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 And,
Orange
and
liqueur.
lime juice. Yeah. Cointreau.
Say Coin.
Coin.
Tro.
Tro.
There you go.
Cointreau.
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 Okay.
Cointreau.
Cointreau.
Doesn't matter. You've said it. Just say orange
Whatever.
liqueur. It's like bitter.
Augusta
Just
bitters.
say orange liqueur. You're fine.
Mm,
Are you gargling cum? What are you doing? Jesus.
dude.
I like how he moves out of
I even went
shot.
I want you to know, I even went to IKEA and got the special glass.
You got the
for
fancy
it, 'cause,
glass,
you know.
but it's not
I
rimmed.
did.
It's not rimmed. Wait a minute. And it
No,
looks
it's
like
not
it's
Friday night, fellas. I told you.
yeah.
You
It
guys
also
know.
looks. It
But
also
you can- on
looks-
Friday.
You can rim your drinks any day of the week,
Yes,
I
that's
think.
true. I do have an
That's a
issue.
good
though.
I don't know
Rule of
if you see how much effort goes into rimming on Fridays, you'd understand why it's stuck to just Fridays. You know, you
Apparently,
have to
I'm,
recoup
apparently
from
I'm not
that.
rimming right.
It looks
No.
like. Are you drinking it like a martini? It doesn't look like there's any ice of any kind.
There is ice, but it's
Oh.
it's that fancy little pellet ice that we found.
crushed.
Little,
Okay.
Gotcha.
little
I
crushed
thought you
ice,
were just drinking it like a fucking martini. I'm like, shit.
Mhm.
Okay. So, how is it?
All right. It's sweet, not sweet, sour, which I don't
Sweet.
care for.
No, wait, sour.
Yeah,
No,
and that's
bitter.
where I
Whatever.
think,
Salty.
Bitter. I don't know.
I
I'm
think that's
just
where
not a
using the
fan.
store-made premix
Yeah.
gives it a little more sweetness. So
No.
it cuts through
No.
that sour.
No.
Yeah, you should have.
If you
conferred
buy the
with
right shit, it
CMO.
does.
Yeah.
Right?
Probably should.
Okay.
That's okay. It happens. But look, you only have
You
4
tried.
taste buds. It's got to be one of the taste buds. Okay.
I gave it a roll. I
Yeah,
gave
okay.
it a roll.
We appreciate it. And I'm sure the CMO appreciates the effort.
Oh, absolutely. The effort, A+.
Hey, I do want to backtrack for a
Thanks,
second.
buddy. Appreciate that.
Hey, Racing Stripe, we missed you too. I'm sorry I didn't come out of the gate with that. We missed you too.
I wasn't going to say anything, but now all is well.
No, okay, good,
I
good.
got to say, not
I didn't
only
want you
did
to
we
know that.
miss you, but I mean, I'm kind of glad to like see the growth of the hair, the development over the last couple of weeks.
The whole extra week has added
Yes.
a lot of volume to the hair.
Yeah.
That was actually. I
It's
really
looking
didn't go
good,
anywhere.
really.
I just wanted to.
You just wanted
Grow
to
it out just a little
take a
longer.
week off.
You just want a little more drama
Yeah.
to the hair growth. Yeah. All
Right.
I'm gonna call
Hey,
you
it's
Speed
working.
Racer from now on.
What if I put it all to one side?
Yeah. There you go. I like it.
It doesn't work. I don't know.
All right, Big Mac.
Get you like a headband.
I can send you one. I've got one if you want it.
Yeah, I was thinking like Jamie Tart. You know,
Oh, yeah, there you go.
We'll get me one of those Jamie Tart
That'd
things.
be great.
You're not
Yeah,
quite
yeah.
there yet, but
Yeah.
you'll get there. Mac, what? I'll let you round us out. What drink did you bring to the table?
All right. So, for our topic this week, I kind of wanted to bring like you a themed drink kind of thing and take us back a little bit. And so I started with one of these guys right here,
Oh,
which is a
Lord.
Jolly Rancher.
Yep. That's not a drink. In case you weren't sure, that's not.
That's
a drink.
not a drink,
Okay.
but it will go in my Zima.
Oh shit!
So I did do the
did it.
homemade Zima.
Nice.
Finally, we've been talking about it for a while, which is it's vodka, lime juice, lemon juice, water, sugar, club soda, and then the Calpico, and I'm probably completely butchering that, the Japanese soft
Japanese.
drink. You kind of mix it all up, pour it in a Collins glass, let it kind of chill in the refrigerator. You can choose to, if you want, drop your,
What
Jolly
flavor was
Rancher
that?
there.
Watermelon.
That was
What-
cherry. That
Cherry,
was
okay,
cherry.
okay.
And then you can just sip and enjoy.
Nice.
Now, is that your first taste?
That was my first taste.
Okay. My second question: Do you even remember what Zima tastes like?
So no, and that's where I was going to go. Right. So I can't tell you,
If it's even accurate.
if it's accurate or not.
It tastes like bad decisions.
That's right.
No regrets. No regrets. But it's actually pretty good. It didn't call for ice. I probably should have added some ice to it. I didn't want to water it down though. But it's a very fruity, with the lemon and the lime, and then I think the Calpico has a kind of a citrusy flavor to it as well, all on its own. So it's pretty good. I'd make it again actually, which is good because when I bought the Japanese soft drink, I had to buy 2 big ass things of it. So
nice.
This might show up again here in some other form, maybe.
Zima, the alternative,
the homemade Zima.
That's right.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I did try to order it. I was going to try to do the same thing. I came across the recipe, but you can't find Zima anywhere. Like I said, 2018 was the last time they did a limited release.
Right.
So
unless you make it yourself, and like I said, with the exception of the Japanese soft drink or soda, whatever they want to call it, everything else is pretty easy to get your hands on.
Yeah.
And probably even have most of it in your pantry already.
And it's funny, when I read reviews about it, that's what people were saying, was like, oh, it tastes really good. Unfortunately, I wasn't around when Zima first came out, so I couldn't even tell you if it tastes right.
That's it, right? It tastes a little bit thicker, maybe, than what I would remember the Zima. Because it calling for a tablespoon and a half of sugar, which probably really thickens it up. And with all that sugar and sweetness, I might be flying by the end of the show. But
I'll tell you what, get yourself a rappelling harness and a rope, climb out that window, and let's see what happens.
All right, I'll be back in a minute.
I can recommend a really good belay man.
Right. That's right.
I don't have any bushes underneath the window, so I'm going to be in trouble. So, no, it was good, though.
There it is. All right, homemade Zima. All right, gents. Well, Grinch, what was yours? Is it just called a cream soda? What is it?
Called like Papa's cream soda.
Cream soda. Okay. Margarita, Papa's cream soda, My Purple Rain, and your homemade Zima. Cheers, gentlemen.
Cheers
to another good show. Thank you for everybody being here. All right. And let's go to work. All right, ladies and gentlemen, if you hadn't figured it out by now, we're talking about nostalgia and the things, not so much the things that make us feel nostalgic. I'm sure we will cover a number of those. But I started thinking, Mac, you brought this up when you and I were talking. And
well, hold on, let's see how this goes before you blame me for this. Okay.
And we were talking, I believe we were talking about like music albums, and you were talking about like a vinyl record. Like there's a nostalgia to certain things. And it got me thinking this past week about nostalgia, and not so much necessarily like the things I'm personally nostalgic about, but again, we can talk about those. But it was more the positives and negatives of nostalgia. Because I think when we think of nostalgia, we always think in terms of positivity, remembering a very specific time, remembering things that were positive about that time and trying to bring it forward. But I started thinking there's a lot of negativity to nostalgia that we don't ever talk about. And I don't know necessarily where it stems from. I did some research, was reading a few articles and trying to find some answers to that. And I started coming across some things where people were talking about nostalgia in movies, and that the person that wrote the article was talking about action movies from the 80s. And one particular movie in general that they cited, or specifically that they cited, was Escape from New York, a movie which I loved as a kid. You mentioned Kurt Russell with the hair.
Yes.
Great movie, Snake Plissken. But he was a child of the late 90s. And he said, I had heard so much about action movies of the 80s. I went back, and he goes, and I watched Escape from New York, and it was fucking garbage. And he said, there has to be a specific nostalgic feel to that movie. People that grew up with it, that remembered, that watched it when it came out, like they seem to be able to talk about it in this very glowing way. And he goes, and I went back and watched it, and it was garbage. And so I started to think about those things and going, what is it about nostalgia that ties us to it? Like, why do we kind of hold on to certain things? But then more, it was the negative aspect of nostalgia. It's not always positive. And I don't know. I know when I threw this topic out, I'm not sure how much you guys may have looked up or not, or thought about your own approach to nostalgia, but I'm definitely curious to see what you guys had to say on this topic. But that's the topic, is nostalgia. So who would like to jump in?
When you brought the topic up,
you were going, what the fuck?
Well, it was just the topic without additional context, which is fine. I didn't necessarily need that, because it kind of allowed me to just
do what you
tinker
want
around with it and feel out kind of what I thought it would, consist of in terms of discussion. I think one of the biggest things for me when I think of nostalgia is I go back to like the toys I played with as a kid. I wasn't a big He-Man guy, but loved G.I. Joe. Man, I had so many friggin' GI Joes, and I loved like setting them up, creating little battlefield scenes and all that. So I like toys take me back.
So that's interesting because coincidentally, my nostalgia goes back to me playing with something too. But
but you were just figuring things out.
It's a toy.
He uses it with toys now.
But then that perspective, anything can be a toy, Haas, depending on your approach to it.
Yeah.
Challenge accepted.
So toys came to mind. Afternoon cartoons and Saturday cartoons came to mind because that we didn't have DVRs, we didn't have all that stuff at our fingertips. You had to be there when it came on, or you just friggin' missed it.
Yeah, there was no. Well, not only that, but there was no Cartoon Network, right? There was no 24-hour cartoon. You got up on Saturday morning, you poured yourself a bowl of cereal, and you sat down from like 8 to 12, and you watched cartoons, and that was all you got for the week as far as cartoons.
Manually flipping the channel.
You hope all your favorite cartoons
in our house, making the young siblings sit by the TV and go switch next, while you sat comfortably on the couch eating cheese puffs. It's the same. I think watching USA Network on Sunday afternoons had the Kung Fu movies on, the old Kung Fu movies. That was one of the first things that triggered my mind when I thought of nostalgia.
And Nickelodeon came to mind as well. What was like? There was a word that if they said it, like you got the
slimed.
Yep. Yeah. Like that kind of stuff came to mind. And it's probably I know it's an age thing / just the world has changed, but like summer seemed really slow, and you would have like your collection of VCR tapes that you'd watch like back then. You'd watch a movie 10-15 times. You just throw on a movie and watch it again and again and again because you only had your collection there.
So you wore that VHS tape out.
That's right. So that came to mind. Like I just remember summers feeling very long.
Really?
Because
they felt long for you
as a kid. Yeah.
Really? Were you one of those kids that are like, "I'm ready for school"?
No, hell no.
The school year start. My summers always seem to fucking fly by. I don't know.
Yeah.
No.
I don't know. I mean, I was living in Birmingham. That's kind of my frame of reference. When I think of this, we were still in Birmingham. We hadn't moved down to Tampa yet. So like kind of entering, like that was right at the cusp of like middle school, I think. So yeah, in the neighborhood I was in, where there was like one other kid.
Oh, well then, if you're bored, it's fucking slow.
Yeah. Now, ironically, quick fun story. I didn't see that guy or his sister for 20 years. I get to Fort Leonard Wood for training, and he's there. Also an Army officer. And I was just like, how in the hell? I haven't thought of this guy in forever, and then we started talking, and all of a sudden we were like putting 2 and 2 together. And he's like, "Did you used to live in Birmingham?" I was like, "Holy shit!"
So before we move on, like if you're talking about toys, movies, whatever it is for you, Grinch, what is it that it evokes? Like, what is it when you're thinking of toys? Does it take you back to a certain time? Is it creating a certain emotion? Or is it that you just remember them?
I think it's just I remember them / it seemed like a quote unquote simpler time, if that makes sense.
Is that nostalgia or is that just memory? I don't know.
I don't know.
It's like, fuck, that's a different episode. All right, scratch everything I just said.
Yeah, okay. I mean, I read an article, I don't know if it's right, wrong, or otherwise, but I found myself agreeing with it, that said the older you get, your perception of time begins to accelerate, because it's very milestone oriented. Like the older you get, we got to have this done by this day. So-and-so starts school here. We got to register. We're going to plan a trip. Like it's all like the days are a blur because you're getting to these milestone events, and that kind of marks the passage of time for you, as opposed to when you're younger, you don't really think about time in the greater context.
Right. You're just kind of living each day.
You're very in the day. You're right. Like, it's more hours, and then the hours become the weeks, and etc.
Can we get back to that, Dan?
I don't know.
Fuck milestones. I'm not looking forward to nothing no more.
And maybe that's the point of, when you think back to those toys and, the different TV shows and stuff, it takes you back to that time and you think, how can I get back to that, right? You miss, like you said, it sounds like a cliche statement, the simpler times, right? You're not chasing, one milestone to the next.
Yeah, I mean, certainly, like as a kid, like birthdays are huge deals, right? But you barely remember anybody else's birthday, until you get like your invites, and then you're like, sweet. Like I remember one of, in my
They're
mind,
having a petting zoo.
One of my favorite birthdays was like at an arcade, or like going to freaking Chuck E. Cheese,
Showbiz Pizza. Yeah, Haas had petting zoos, but that was a different type of birthday.
Just pet the monkey.
That's right. Haas, what about you? What in terms of nostalgia for you? What does that bring to mind when I say nostalgia?
You actually, all three of you kind of touched on it. Mac with the music. I remember one of the very first. So my parents were really hit and miss with gifts, whether it was birthdays or Christmases or whatever. But one year I got a Huey Lewis and the News tape that I freaking played the show. I don't know what it was about that tape, but I loved it. So music is one for sure. Like my first CD that I ever bought was Megadeth. So that always triggers.
How old were you?
Toys. 14.
You remember?
14 or 15.
Probably wouldn't have been Symphony of Destruction, would it? Would it have been Symphony of Destruction?
I think so. Maybe. That sounds right.
Okay.
Toys. Also, the GI Joes. I had a lot of GI Joes. One year I got the big old circular base they had. So that was a lot of fun with some of the vehicles. And then the cartoons. I am and have always been and will continue to always be a huge Thundercats fan. So that's like one of my go-to things. I don't know about you guys. That's one of my when I don't feel well and I'm sick, I want orange Gatorade. I want Campbell's chicken noodle soup with cheese toast, and I want to sit and watch Thundercats. That's all I want when I don't feel well. And I think that's nostalgia right there.
So living in Austria, you trying not to get sick then, I assume. Do they have Campbell's soup?
That's factually correct. They do not, but Mama Haas shipped me some, so I still have a couple cans left. Yeah.
Don't get sick. Yep. All right. Cool.
Right.
Mac, what about you? Positives, nostalgia?
No, I mean, I think, it can be both, right? It can bring you back to good times and bad times. Obviously, nostalgia with bad times, everybody remembers, obviously September 11th, where they were. For us, probably, the shuttle explosion. I'm sure everybody remembers where they were. Those are things that, are not necessarily as, good memories, but, there are certain things that can bring you back to that moment. But you typically try to associate it with positive things. And, again, like we said, it's toys, for us growing up, because, you try and go back to that time when you were a child, so you remember the toys like G.I. Joe. I did have some He-Man toys, and TV. I remember, growing up in Florida, this was of course way back before all the DVRs and everything. You got the set-top box for your TV. And if you took a toothpick and put it into the buttons just right to hold them down, you could get free stations. So I could absolutely go back and remember sitting in the living room with my dad.
The Spice Channel.
Yeah.
With my dad, not Spice Channel. Shit just got weird.
You grin. Just like, yep. I remember Spice Channel.
I was going to go HBO.
Yeah, this shit's blurry.
Skinamax. You're on at midnight on Skinamax.
I think I see a nipple.
It was a nipple. It was a nipple. Yeah, right.
Yeah, sorry, I just got sidetracked. No, but yeah, so I remember things like that. And then, other times going up, to the fire station, which actually had, where my dad worked, which had cable, and watching some TV shows and stuff and hanging out there, and I don't know why. I mean, those things, like you said, you didn't have all the responsibilities. So, I think that's what kind of invokes that good feeling, of going back to those times when you didn't have to worry about, all the day-to-day things that we do now.
Yeah. I was just, when you mentioned TV also, I was thinking about like A-Team, being on at the time.
Good call.
Hawaii 5-0. Oh yeah, there you go.
Miami Vice.
Magnum PI. Oh yeah. Nice.
So I think we're talking about a very specific that the shows you're naming obviously fall into a specific time frame. Do you think nostalgia pushes you towards those specific times in general?
Well, I was going to, another thought I had as everybody else was talking is, when I think nostalgia, I do go back to being a kid, because I remember like when big movies came to the theater, being super excited to get to go see them, like that stuff was like in my mind, it was like much bigger than what it amounts to today, of like, getting to go see a great movie that you're super excited about as a kid. So I think nostalgia takes me back to that era. Fond memories kind of start pushing me into like the high school, because it's not, I mean, I think we all said this in another podcast. We were talking about like aging it. I don't think any of us said like we'd love to go do high school again, because we were all like, fuck this. It was just, we were ready to be done with it.
I don't know. I would. You guys are a big reason why I would redo it. 100%.
Well, but I guess that's really my point, is it wasn't so much being in high school. It was us being that age and together.
Right.
That's the stuff
we're
I
all
remember.
Here together, and we're not in high school, so
Like,
I'm good with this.
Like in high school, I can't remember hardly a thing in high school. Like I don't even remember soccer games. Like I don't even remember if we won, we lost, like who we beat. None of that shit.
I remember coming to see you several times. You wore number 11.
Yeah, we got some great pictures, from everybody being there, and that stuff was awesome. But I have the more accessible memories are like when we went camping, or when we all hung out, or skipped school and played spades, like that's the stuff that I don't know. I don't know if there's a difference, it's a distinction without a difference to say one's fond memories and the other one's nostalgia. But that's kind of the way my head's, where my head is on this stuff.
And I understand that. And this was something that I was talking to my daughter about, my youngest, and I was talking about nostalgia. And like I mentioned high school, and she's like, but you didn't really miss high school. You missed after 2:05 p.m. at high school, during that. Like you didn't miss from 7:30 in the morning till 2:05.
That's awful sweet. She thinks we made it to 2:05 every day, but okay.
But I would say, would I go back and do high school again? Absolutely. Because I think now naturally you'd have to know what you know now, because if I went back knowing only what I knew then, I'd make the same mistakes because I'd still be a fucking bonehead. But if I could go back and do high school again, I think it would change the entire trajectory of my life in terms of taking a job I wish I hadn't taken.
But here's the thing, right? I mean, and this goes down to you.
Don't do it. Don't even say it.
Okay.
Go ahead.
No,
because
I don't know what I'm gonna say.
You think
you've sidetracked?
You think we should 21 Jump Street it?
No, Mac. What were you gonna say?
No, I mean, clearly everything that's happened to you has brought you to this point. So, while some of it may have been uncomfortable, could it have been? Is it all that bad?
No, of course not. And that's why this is what I tell my family, because obviously the first thing out of the gate is you wouldn't have your kids, but I wouldn't know I didn't have my kids.
But that's a bonus. Some days.
Yeah. But I'm like, I wouldn't know that I didn't have them, and you can't miss what you don't know doesn't exist. So I don't like when people make that argument. Now, naturally they go, yeah, but you said if you could go back knowing what you know now, you couldn't do that unless you knew. Well, okay, fine. We can make that argument all day long. But yeah, Grinch, I was just saying I would go back just to try to change the difficulties, like try to stem the difficulties that I went through. Like, for better or worse, nobody at 19 should have a kid and be getting married. Like you're just not emotionally ready for that shit. Because I've, and this is what my daughter said. She goes, yeah. And, but if you had just waited another 10 years, you'd still love your kids. Of course I would. If I had waited 10 years and gotten pregnant and gotten married and had kids, I would still love the kids. I just would have given them a more stable life potentially. But again, that's a coin flip. You never know. But real quick, so that I can round out everybody else. Yeah. For me, a lot of what you guys have said, I think I try to separate memory from nostalgia. So for me, like if I hear a song or if I smell a smell, or, Haas, I am sure it's like when you come home at Thanksgiving, you walk into grandma's kitchen and you smell like it just every Thanksgiving you've ever had, right? It's just, it kind of comes rushing back, that smell of grandma's cooking. Or you're hearing, for me, I can always think like if I hear Smashing Pumpkins, I am immediately teleported to Haas's bedroom, playing video games, and he's playing Smashing Pumpkins. Mac, like, listening to Live with You. Grinch, sitting in my Jetta, listening to The Cure on the way to school. Like I hear certain songs and immediately I go right there. And for me, yes, that's memory, but it's triggered by nostalgia. And so it's like, I think that's the positive side where you go, oh, I heard that, and this is where I go. it's weird because for movies, it is a little different, right? The auditory effect of nostalgia with music never degrades. But then you do watch movies and you go, oh, fuck, Escape from New York's fucking garbage now. Look at the effects. And, the acting's fucking,
right? It's pretty fucking terrible.
Right. But at the time, it was cutting edge. And that's what's even scarier, right? A little bit.
And hold on. Not all movies are created equal, because Big Trouble in Little China.
That's what I was about to say.
Still is a great movie. That is still a great movie.
But what I'm saying is, people that don't know, they watch it and they go, "Look at the effects in Big Trouble in Little China. They're fucking garbage compared to today." Well, naturally they are, because technology.
Yeah.
I
mean, that's the way I feel about Top Gun. I had like this huge running debate with people I worked with for a while. I'm like,
it's not a Christmas movie.
Fucking sucks. I'm like, Top Gun sucks. It's not realistic. It's totally goofball. Like, it's just dumb.
Okay.
But
so go ahead. Now I'm going to finish off your point.
But yeah, I mean, it's funny, because the other thing that came to mind when you mentioned nostalgia is I can't remember the context, but the person said, like, the older we get, the better we were. Like
yes,
that's what I think about with some of these movies. Like, if you never watched them again, your childhood impressions remain. That crystallized knowledge, as Haas mentioned the other day, and it gets shattered when you go back with like an adult's eye, and you're like, "Oh my god, this is what?
Well, and I think that brings me to some of the negativity of nostalgia: is do we elevate situations well beyond where they should be, based like Grinch, what you just said? I think we do. Just naturally, we get enough years away, and we get that critical distance. We do elevate certain situations well beyond where they were. Like, I can sit here and think about all the things we did in high school, and I go, man, I miss that time. But there are certain aspects I fucking hated about high school. You know what I'm saying? And like,
no, I do. That's exactly the kind of the point I was getting at. Is like, high school itself, I couldn't stand. I was ready to be done with it. Now, would I have hung out all day and gone camping every weekend and played spades and been a jackass? Sure.
I was about to say,
do that all day long.
Spades and hacky sack. And I mean, there
absolutely
was a lot of good times. I feel there were a lot more good times. Yeah, there were a lot more good times than there weren't, at least for me.
But we're
personally,
we're there.
Go ahead.
365 days a year.
Yep.
Do you think there were more good days than bad days at the time?
100%.
Yeah, okay. I would agree with that.
I'm just asking. It just goes in the question, because again,
now at the time, you probably it was probably fucking got to go to school. This is bullshit. But at the end of the day, I mean, they were pretty good times, right? School was not that bad.
Speak for yourself. Again, of high school, the 4 summers of high school, I went to summer school, 3 of them, where you guys were off doing whatever you wanted. I was in summer school, sophomore, junior, senior year. That was not fun for me. Like, knowing you guys were off.
Well,
as with all things, those are decisions I made that I punish myself for. I'm not blaming anybody else. I'm saying, but that's what I'm saying. For you may look at that situation and go, wow, that was really great. And I go, yeah, not so much.
No,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, I understand that. I mean, there's probably a couple of like spring breaks that I think back on where
sexy running on the beach in the morning. You were jealous.
I mean, actually, that trip's a great one to use as a reference of where I was going with this, which was
real quick.
We made it happen. Sorry, go ahead, man.
Have all the statute of limitations run out on all the stories you're about to tell?
I'm going to divulge no details.
Okay, perfect.
Yes.
Grant, you forget Grinch's military training, man.
Redacted.
He knows better.
Yeah, it's all redacted. But we were so fucking poor. We were scraping together money, and I hated being poor. Like, I mean, poor is relative. Like, we had no disposable income. We were scraping together change, just to get enough gas money to get down there. And then we were in the KOA campsite because we didn't like that. Bothered me. I hated that feeling of like, well, we had fun in the moment, but like it drove me nuts to not have any kind of money, to just not worry about
an actual hotel room like everybody else had.
Right.
And then we only had the KOA campsite for what, like 2 nights?
Yeah.
And then it was sleep where you sleep. Like we had the white van. So you could sleep in the white van if you wanted. But I specifically remember several times using my shoes and my shirt as a pillow. I'd put my shoes together, put the heel part against a wall, roll up my shirt and make a pillow out of it. And that's how I slept for the nights I remember.
Sounds like great times.
Well, and that's why I say, like,
they were great times.
Right. But it like that those two things simultaneously come back to me.
Right.
When I think about that trip, because I know how little money I had available, and what little money we had available was like, what's the cheapest meal we can find while we're down here? / we still got to buy beer.
Yeah, alcohol.
Somebody left half a hamburger over here. If I cut off just a little edge, it's still good.
Yeah.
I mean, that's one stupid example, but it touches on the same feeling of like, it's possible to recognize that there's some good that happened. And this comes with maturity, I think, that there was a goodness, but you're also mature enough to have to critique of like, yeah, but had I, or if I'd been a little smarter, or that was dumb, kind of thing. Right. I don't think there's anything wrong with that, so long as it's coupled with, and Mac touched on this, like we've said it before, we are where we are, we're the sum total of our experiences. We can't undo any of that shit.
Right.
So you either dwell in it or you just move on, and it becomes
that's
a
the way
part
I
of,
look at it. I think you're right. Is that you're here. Whatever happened in the past, you can't go back and change it. You don't have a time machine that I know about. So chalk it up as good, bad, and different. But it made you the person that you are today.
And the upside is that's what separates you from Joe Average, because some people do get bogged down in nostalgia. And whatever their situation is currently, be it if it's miserable, if it's you're living at a KOA campsite and you have no fucking money and you're broke, they are always pining for what was, because that time is better. And I think that's where the negativity begins to creep into the situation. You never move
I'd say
forward.
there was a period there in the mid to late 20s where I probably did that, because you guys were all advancing in different ways and I felt very stagnated. And it wasn't until I took a risk, till I really kind of like, I was, fear sometimes can be debilitating and paralyzing. And I took a risk. I took the $800 I had and I drove out to freaking Vegas with all my shit. And I lived in my car while I, had a gym membership so I could bathe, and till I got enough money and I got a place. And, it wasn't until then when I really took that chance, because I just got tired of the same crap. There was a lot of that nostalgic remembering and wishing and pining for the good old days. But then I realized that those weren't available anymore. That time and that ship had come and gone. It was time to grow up and move on.
And that's the point when I was talking to Mac the other day, is he said, just because, as you're saying, those times are gone and you got to move on, that doesn't mean you don't create new times. We know
that now.
Right.
Well, what I was going to touch on that theme is something else that came to mind when I was a kid. We used to go to California every year to my grandparents for Christmas, and all the aunts and uncles and cousins would be there. Loved that. It was so much fun because the parents would forget where we were. We'd all play. I loved California. It was beautiful. Like in my mind, like if I lived in California, I bet it'd be very different than that kind of, rose-colored glasses view of what it would be like
when you're there on vacation versus when you're living there.
Yeah. And as the grandparents' health started to change and they went into a nursing home, like all that stopped. And every attempt to try to replicate it between rifts with the family and everything else just never worked. And I got frustrated by stop trying to recreate something that'll never happen again. It's in the same vein of like, you think it'll be this way every time. Like, even if we get together, there's still going to be different circumstances, different details, different planning factors. It's not going to be exactly like it was every time. Now, we hope so. Of course, that's the goal, is to have at least as much fun, but it won't be the exact same thing that it was the year before.
No, but I think it gets better now. Sorry, man.
Yeah, but
I agree.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's something that, Thor, you and I talked about is, I think it's kind of called, and I don't know if this is a technical term or not, revertigo. But it's, it's.
Is that falling up? What is that?
Falling up. Yeah. No, the theory behind it is when you get together and you kind of just fall back into those same old,
patterns.
Yeah. So, I think if you get into that kind of a situation, nostalgia can be bad, right? And I think that kind of touches on what you were saying there, Grinch. You want to recreate those times because you you have fond memories of them, but they're never going to be the same. People have grown up, their opinions have changed, their attitudes and lifestyles have changed. It's going to be different. And it really hit to me. I think that's one thing that, at least the four of us and to a large extent, other folks outside of this group that we've stayed in contact with, is that we can go back and kind of touch on those times, and talk about, times when we were in high school and memories and stuff like that. And have those nostalgic moments. But quite frankly, we're all still very much, I think, at least for me, rooted in, everybody's current life too, right? Grinch, I love hearing what's going on with the new job, and your girls going, getting ready to go off to college, love, hearing about Haas's adventures and seeing the different pictures posted on, Instagram.
The different penis art. I know.
The different penis art. Yes, exactly.
That thing was a thing of beauty.
Yeah, you like hunted that thing out.
No,
but there's only so many pictures.
I shit you not.
Sorry,
I
Mac.
shit you not.
At the end
It
of the
was
day,
right outside of it was right outside of a cat cafe. Found a cat cafe. We had to go, and it was like right outside. And I was like, "How apropos!"
So that's where you took a dick
have to
pic.
have a picture. Yeah,
I'm just
put all that pussy inside.
I didn't realize
exactly.
they could be that small. That's my only
Wow.
takeaway from that, right? But no,
And they
I mean,
say objects in the rearview mirror look larger. That's crazy.
So, and the same with you, Thor. Keeping in touch with what your girls are doing, what you're doing currently today with the
You
job.
don't
and everything.
really care.
I don't, but I have to pretend like I do.
I appreciate you
so
lumping
that
me
you
in
don't
there.
feel left out
Thank you.
amongst the group. So I think if you can't do that, I think nostalgia can be a bad thing. So if we got together, and every time we got together, we just got drunk and passed out, at a campsite and rolled up in a tent because we couldn't even get the tent pitched properly, that would be a bad thing. Not every, occasionally it'd be okay.
I told you, I'm
Every
not
time.
sleeping on the ground ever again. I did enough of that shit.
Yeah.
So, I think when you can still, kind of reminisce about the past and enjoy those times, but still be, in the present, then it can be a good thing. But if you just are living in the past, then I think nostalgia can almost be debilitating and hold you
agree.
back.
I mean,
And that's it. I'm done talking.
Yeah,
That
and
was
I
enough.
think that's where we develop those new memories that we'll be able to look back on 20
Right.
years from now, like sleeping in a hotel room watching Grinch go to bed in his underwear, but wake up in sweats, socks, a
Full
parka,
parka.
fucking hoodie wrapped in a blanket, and you're going, "What the fuck just
In a
happened?"
0 degree bag. Where did that come from?
So
You
cool.
know?
So
It's-
cool.
Hey,
Right,
buddy,
everybody
the
else is
boy's
like,
coming
wearing like a
spoon.
t-shirt.
You mean
Yeah.
I'd go over there grumbling,
Like
I'm too old
sweaty.
for this shit.
You were
Next
by
time,
the
just come spoon. Big Bear's got you.
you were by the
You'll be
door.
all right.
Maybe it was a draft from under
I
the
don't
door.
fucking know. I don't know.
Yeah, so I don't know. I guess I thought about it, thinking like the negative aspects. Well, he just fucking up and leaves. Did I upset him?
Well, no, he was
Well,
trying to get
he
your
showed you the
attention,
glass.
I don't.
you were looking
I'm
up at the
reading.
ceiling
I'm
fan.
fucking reading.
All right, here we go.
I'm sorry.
You want
You
to say
just-
Thor?
You just got up and walked away. I'm reading and I looked down and I'm like, wait, did I?
I'm trying to
Matt
get his
off.
attention.
Matt gave me the thumbs up.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Well, because I thought he was, paying attention, but
Mac
clearly I
is
was
the
wrong.
associate producer, so when he gives us the
Yeah.
thumbs up,
Well,
it's okay.
Look, I can't be the associate producer because apparently I missed posting shit to Instagram this week and
Yeah.
I got written up for it. So
Did you get a reprimand?
I did.
Yes.
I got something in my
Dude,
file now.
Are you being put on a performance improvement plan?
No, he just spanked me.
Look at that.
I think I'd rather have the performance improvement plan.
According to Business Insider, to capitalize on 90s nostalgia, they're bringing Zima back for a limited summer release. Now this would have been 2020. Not sure if that actually happened.
With COVID and everything.
Nostalgia. Look at it makes us do dumb shit. I look at Coke, new Coke. Everybody wanted classic Coke.
Yeah.
For the 3 months that new Coke was out, everybody went, oh.
Well, I mean,
What was the Coke Clear or Crystal Coke?
things are cyclic,
Oh,
you know,
Is that a
in the
Oh,
broad
yeah.
sense of society. I mean, obviously they capitalize on that, whether it is the whole Marvel Cinematic Universe, whether it is
Stranger Things.
Stranger Things. Like a lot of what draws us to these things is because there's so many throwbacks that we can relate to. And I enjoy that stuff. I really do. Like when I read Ready Player One, loved that book because of how many like I can remember the classic Atari and all that kind of thing. And
The
those are
3100.
nostalgic things. Like those are more things that you remember, like when you got your first video game or when you got a Walkman and then you upgraded to a Discman. And like when you sent out that Pearl Jam, what is it? Is that 30 years now?
30 years. Yeah. When it got released in August.
That was my first CD that I bought was that CD.
So that's nostalgic as hell.
Going to Blockbuster.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
And
I
you're
think
like,
they finally closed the last remaining one out in Oregon.
But you knew if you didn't go like Wednesday or Thursday, if you went late Friday, you were fucked. Like all the
all the good movies
all
were
the new
gone.
ones are gone.
Yeah. You were
gonna have to watch Conan the Barbarian again.
The Blockbuster, all the new releases were around the outside wall, so you would just start at one end, walk all the way around. What's there?
Shit, it's here.
Yeah.
I got to go to the inside. There's
or going into a Turtles, using turtle coins, or
the stamps. They even went to the stamps at some point, I think, didn't they?
Yeah.
There wasn't no fucking ordering concert tickets online. You had to go and buy
stand in line.
Wait at Ticketmaster, at a Publix or whatever.
Yeah, it's like I was talking to my daughter. We were talking about school, and it was like, oh, now everything is online, right? You can register online, you can take class online. I'm like, when I went to college it was Georgia Perimeter. It became Georgia Perimeter, but it was DeKalb Community College. Yeah, that became Georgia
Technical, Perimeter. Right?
You had to go down and pick up. Remember the little paper?
You can call it whatever you want to.
The little paper books, and you had to go through the paper book and what class did I want? Then you had to fucking drive to the registrar and be like, I want these classes, and they signed you up. And I was like, shit is so different now.
Well, not only that, but you look at like the iPhones. I mean, that's something from our kids' generation. When the first few releases of the iPhones, people waited in line for that shit. They camped out overnight. Now, nobody does that anymore.
No. I mean, the other thing,
and that hasn't even been that long.
The sound brings back nostalgia in the sense I remember the era, but it drove me nuts. Is the old modems you had to use to dial up to the internet, and that infamous noise it made, and then your phone would be busy. For hours.
Mom picks up the phone. I got to make a call.
Right.
Fuck, now I got to start downloading my porn again.
Right.
I mean, and getting the
beepers.
But getting the discs in the mail, or the 3.5-inch floppy discs for like Netscape.
That wasn't the
Columbia House.
Oh, you're talking about the
CDs.
Columbia Records.
Columbia House. Yeah.
You order your 5 records for a penny. And then you forgot. Fuck! I forgot to cancel it. Now I've got Phil Collins in the new CD. And I paid $32 for it.
Yeah, you're committed to a 10-year contract.
Yeah.
It's like, what did I just do?
And half of our audience is like, Columbia. What the fuck
are they talking about?
You had to order
Google
music.
I'd like to think at least half of our audience is old enough to know better.
I would hope so.
I would think they are. Yeah, I don't know. I thought about all of the things that drive nostalgia, focusing on the negativity, the negative aspects of nostalgia. I mean, in some ways, I think I do that because I do look back on high school, and there are times where I'm like, man, things would be so much different. Would it make me a different person? I don't know. I don't know that it would make me a different person. Would it have changed my relationship with you, gentlemen? No, because I knew you win.
Yeah,
I wish I.
That. If you had, maybe really, buckled down, become successful, made millions of dollars, you may not remember who the fuck we are.
You wouldn't remember the little people.
Yeah.
Where would we be?
I could see that. I could see you doing that without a doubt.
So what you're saying is, to feed your own egos, I had to be miserable through my 20s and early 30s so that
to
you
stay
guys
friends with us.
Yeah, that's what you're saying.
I'm just pissed off. My parents didn't start training to be a golfer like in the womb.
Were we not just talking about this today?
Thor and I were just talking about that earlier today. Had we known then what we know now, we'd all be golfers.
I've been playing golf in high school.
Yeah.
It's like, what are you doing? Going partying? I'm going to play golf, and I'll be making a few million in a couple of years. Have fun with that.
Chasing this stupid little ball around.
That's right. There's just something relaxing about the sport, though. And it's weird because it's a weird dichotomy of not relaxing because you stress yourself out competing with yourself, and yet it's relaxing just to
You're
be out there
outside, you're walking.
I think to me it's
beautiful, the sounds.
Yeah, because I mean clearly I know I'm not going to be any good at it, and I've resigned myself to that fact. So I'm outside. I'm typically hanging out with with you guys or some of you guys, and we're drinking some beers, and we're having a good time. So that to me, and like I sort of say, to me, that's what golf is about more than anything else. It's being outside and enjoying the camaraderie.
Grinch, do you play golf, Grinch?
No.
Why would you play golf in the golf capital of the world, right?
I'm
surrounded by it.
Silly.
I'm literally surrounded by it. It's so
but
funny.
the problem
Have you
is,
ever tried?
I played twice in my life, and that was when I was at Fort Leonard Wood, and I've never had a lesson. Like, I don't know what the hell I'm doing.
Who needs lessons? Lessons? That's
lessons. What the hell is that about?
No,
I own no equipment.
You gotta hack it and whack it like the rest of us.
That's right. Did you take hacky sack lessons? No, you just got out there and you did it.
I was just I was a naturally gifted hacky sacker.
That's what it is.
The problem
Nothing
for
like
Grinch
kicking a
is
sack.
There's nowhere probably affordable where he's
Well,
at.
I'm gonna tell you what, Grinch,
go
that
play
California
golf.
hairdo you got going.
That's right.
That tells
That's
us you were a natural hacky sacker.
That's right. The hippie was always here. I just didn't let it out.
The inner Grinch hippie.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know that you can actually make the argument in terms of golf, but Patrick Cantley just won the PGA Tour Championship. 4 days worth of work made $15 million. That's tough. Now you're going to go, yeah, but he practices 10 hours a day, every day.
Who came in 10th place, and how much did they make for 4
That's
days
it,
worth of
right?
work?
Yeah.
It doesn't.
I mean,
matter.
I'm not
everybody that makes it.
I'm not saying
Sunday
I don't
gets
want to be
paid.
first. Yeah, I'm not saying I don't want to be first, but I'm saying if I came in 10th, I'm sure as shit not crying.
You'd be Happy
Or
Gilmore. I
not,
came in
so-
last, still got a paycheck.
Yeah, so still get 200 grand for 4 days worth of work.
One other topic, and this isn't, I don't know, it's related to nostalgia, and Mac brought it up in the text, is, on the anniversary of September 11th, which I didn't necessarily want to dwell on.
No.
I for me, the nostalgia of that is how the world was before it happened, and then how it is after. Now, obviously, a little more pertinent to me because it kicked off 20 years of conflict, and I was in the Army.
Job security.
But it's so weird, to think of another thing I used to be nostalgic about is I loved meeting people at the gate, or having family meet you at the gate.
Right. You met people with a big sign.
You wave.
Welcome to North Carolina or whatever,
Yeah, that was so exciting, and you knew you were about to have a good time with the family. And then now you're like, well, I'll see you outside baggage claim.
Yeah.
But on the flip side, there's something to that because now you don't have to park and sled your way all the way up to the gate and at the terminal. Now it's like you walk out, just text me when you're here. I'll pull up, and you better jump in because I'm not stopping.
That's right.
Yeah, Mac, when you came from Charlotte, and I think it was 98, when you came to visit after you and I reconnected, you flew down. Haas and I met you at the gate at Atlanta Hartsfield in 98.
Yep.
We met you there.
Sure.
Yes. And then
I'm going to take your word for that.
And then
I don't
was
remember
working,
flying into Atlanta.
Yeah. Haas and I were working downtown at a law firm together. And when you left on that trip, there was a MARTA station downtown. We drove downtown. You and I walked down to the MARTA station. I said bye to you on the tracks. You took the train down to the airport. I know right now you're going,
and
Mac,
Mac lean,
now, actually,
did Mac lean
leaving
out
is-
the window and wave a handkerchief at you?
he did.
And you ran into a light pole.
Can you open the
Now, I
MARTA
actually
train
do remember.
windows?
I remember leaving. So what does that tell you about the trip? I'm just going to say that.
Wow. Okay.
Maybe it's the thrill of riding MARTA.
You remembered leaving, but you still keep coming back. What does that tell you?
That's on you.
It's an abusive relationship.
You just won't
Mac's codependent.
That's it.
I'm glad we've established that after 32 years.
Very well. And that'll be $5,000 for this therapy session.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
The other nostalgic, I don't know if we haven't mentioned this, but I can remember big family vacation. I mean, there was a time
in fact, the last big family vacation,
we still do that. Fuck.
Well, I mean, I can remember this was back when I had, my stepfather was still around, my two stepbrothers. We would not be seatbelted. We'd be laying in the floor of the car. We'd be doing whatever. on these like hour-long journeys, and it was the infamous, "Are we there yet?" Because there was no GPS.
Right.
You were using printed maps, maybe, or the old AAA, like you said,
the AAA trip advisor.
You had Mad Libs. You had Mad Libs.
Yeah, Mad Libs.
You had the little magnet game of like a battleship,
or the little Travel Connect 4.
And
yeah, that's right.
Yeah, and it was like this epic adventure, which we only did a handful, but like I still remember because we went to the World Expo in New Orleans and we went to Disney World. That was a lot of driving, but like I can remember that, and I think about that fondly. Like in my mind, it was probably a lot better than it was, because it's like we talked about with the Facebook. Like people show you the good pictures. They don't show you the getting really frustrated or my stepbrother throwing up in the car or me getting sick when we were in New Orleans. Like,
Right. They show you the beautiful picture on the beach holding a Mai Tai.
Yeah.
They don't show you sleeping in a campsite at the KOA.
Right.
Because you're broke.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I don't know. Nostalgia is a powerful thing. Good and bad. Mac, as you said, like if you never progress out of it, right? You're not generating any new memories. You're not moving forward beyond that. Haas, you said you wrestled with that in your 20s after everybody kind of left and did their own thing. Mac, you were off in Charlotte. Grinch, you were in UGA out in Athens. I was probably at that point married with kids. I mean, I know, Haas, you and I reconnected.
Yeah, you were married with kid.
Right. But then later, obviously, I moved to Florida. Grinch goes in the military. Mac's still in Charlotte. And you're kind of just sitting there left. I know you bounced around. I think you went to South Carolina at one point and back to Atlanta. And I guess at some point you were just like, fuck this. Time to take a risk. And obviously it paid dividends for you.
It's a bold move.
Fuck yeah.
But you know what? Sometimes it's a good thing, right?
It's a bold move, Cotton.
Yeah, Grinch, you've talked about this, and of course, I mean, some of yours was obviously career driven, but not staying in one place for too long. I mean, honestly, we've been here now for 25, 30 years. It's fucking time to move. Try something different,
Yeah, experience the world.
It's a big, beautiful world.
And it's like we like being comfortable. Being uncomfortable isn't a pleasant experience, but to have that growth mindset and to shake yourself. I mean, like I said, Haas, I mean, credit to you for realizing or coming to grips with this. You can't keep being like this. Like, I'm not happy. I need change. I'm going to take a risk, and had that not happen, who knows, and I think that's the goodness, is it's not dwelling on that of like, oh God, if 20 years ago I had left, now you can look back on it and go, that was the catalyst that kind of kicked off change, positive change.
And it was 100%. It was 100%. Right. And quite frankly, there at the end, I couldn't get out of Atlanta fast enough. Even though there were so many amazing memories. And I think we've all kind of touched on this. None of us want to ever live in Atlanta again, correct?
I was just about to say that.
Right.
None of us would ever want to go to Atlanta again.
Atlanta today is not the Atlanta we grew up in, right? But by any stretch of the imagination.
Even if it was, we all agree that we have amazing nostalgic memories and times in Atlanta, and we love to visit it. But I have I have less than.
I don't know that I've ever. But you mentioned that. I mean, I think, outside of the time I came to visit you guys, apparently in '98. I'm taking your word for that.
You're taking my word that you came to visit?
Allegedly.
There's no proof.
Allegedly came to visit.
All of those airline records are gone.
Were we that drunk and high? Did we just carry like a cardboard cutout? Was it like Weekend at Bernie's?
They just picked up some random guy at the airport, apparently.
It's like that movie where all of a sudden you both come to this realization.
That's right.
He was never there.
we just held up a sign at the gate that says David.
It was just one weekend where we went out after work and got a little too fucked up.
Yeah.
If we think David was with us.
Yeah.
And to steal from Inside Out, it became a core memory. Core memory.
But yeah, I mean that. I think I came back maybe one other time to visit you, Thor, and then when we went to visit, Haas's parents. Like I never went by the school. I never went by the old house. No desire to do that. All the times I've come to visit you in Florida, it's obviously a little bit.
Georgia's just a state you pass through.
Well, but not only that, but even where I lived in Florida, I mean, it's a little bit out of the way, but I've never decided. I mean, I had no desire to go drive by the old house, the old neighborhood, any of that stuff to see it. I mean, it's kind of the, you're dead to me, right? I'm moving on.
Matt, would you say you're nostalgic, Matt? Because
I think so to some extent. I mean, I've looked up the houses, I on Google Maps and stuff, and looked at them to see, how the area has kind of changed over the years. But,
let's be honest.
I just haven't.
I think for most of us, Atlanta is exactly where it needs to be, and that's in the rearview mirror.
Yeah. Dwelling on Atlanta just a little bit, for me personally, like, I don't like Atlanta. And a big reason I don't like Atlanta, and I hate the house that my mother still lives in. I hate that house. Not that we didn't have fantastic memories.
Right.
It's just, I also remember, like we talked about earlier, that was when things got really bad with her and my stepdad. They went in this multi-year divorce. Like, I can remember the power being shut off at the house. And I was like, I'm like a teenager going, well, what do we do now?
Right.
And I'm like driving to the power company to pay a bill to get it back on. Like, that's the shit that fights through the other good stuff. So when I think of Atlanta, I start cutting away parts of it. Cause like BH's house, loved being there, loved his parents. It was very relaxing. Your house, Haas, like, I loved being around your parents and your brother and your sister, all that stuff is enjoyable to me when I think back on it. But it's like, it's like islands or pockets within a broader context.
Well, they say one of the things about home is once you leave, you can never go back. It's never the same place. Like, I grew up in Orlando, and then I moved in '86 to Atlanta, and I spent 13 years in Atlanta. And my only interaction with Orlando was coming back to visit family, things like that, or going to Disney. And then when I moved back in '99, I was like, this is not the same fucking place I left. Because Grinch, like you said, going to California on vacation was great, but if you live there, it doesn't have the same mystique. And so moving back to Orlando, I was like, fuck this place. It's like, it's not the same place you leave. And I think Atlanta for me has that same aspect. It's like, you live there, you move away. If you're gone for any amount of time and you go back, it's like, this is not the city I left. I mean, I got a brother that lives there. I don't really go and visit him there. And I don't really have a desire to go to Atlanta. Like, if I'm there and I can see him, great, but I don't go out of my way to go there unless, like, again, seeing you guys, that was just kind of everything working together. Haas's parents were nice enough to let us, come and stay with him. And that's what we did. But yeah, I think Atlanta was what it was at the time from a nostalgia perspective. And it's exactly where it needs to be now. And that's in the rearview mirror. So
100%.
Yeah. All right. Well, I don't think we answered any questions on this podcast, and I'm not sure we had a question to answer. I was curious about y'all's take on nostalgia, good, bad, or indifferent.
Yeah. And I guess one final point, and I'm actually very serious with bringing this up as a reference.
So we should not joke.
Has everybody seen the movie Inside Out?
But Disney, I know it made you cry. I know it made you cry.
Oh, you're talking about the one with the little characters in their head or whatever. Yeah,
that movie is brilliant. Is made you cry. Absolutely brilliant. Because when she's younger, she has her 4 basic emotions, and she doesn't understand that, like, they can start to blend and there can still be goodness that come out of it. And like that point that they make, kind of using her maturing and then kind of using the memory bubbles to like symbolize what it looks like of like how you can have joy and sadness together. I think that's what comes with aging and maturity. It's a lot simpler when you're a kid, so therefore the memories associated with that are simpler. Whereas, as you get a little older, like there was probably things like when I was a kid, I was oblivious to, like certain maybe things going on in the house that I was just too young to pick up on, that maybe if I were an adult in that situation, I'd be like, oh man, I don't know that this was really all that great of a situation. Or maybe it was better than I realized, I just don't know. But that's kind of how I think about nostalgia now, is it went from some very simple emotions to more complex, associated with aging. So we just stole Inside Out's entire plot line is really
right
what
here
I'm saying.
For an hour. Yes. I like it.
That's okay, but I mean, it's just the brilliance of our podcast.
Yeah, and I think that we steal from other things and make it our own. I like it.
No, there's some parallelism.
Yeah. Parallelograms.
That's right. Parallelism.
I told you I have no original thoughts. I just steal everybody else's and like repackage.
Hey Haas, say specificity.
Specificity.
There you go. Good girl. I'm proud of you.
I was waiting for you to be like, fuck off.
Yeah. Generally, which is a word I've been having problems with lately, and I don't know why. But,
You mean like the Dukes of Hazzard?
Well,
what I did.
very punny. Very punny.
All right. Moving this ship
Catherine
along.
Bach. Speaking of nostalgia, Catherine Bach. Oh, man,
I'm not even sure.
Those Daisy Duke
Hey,
shorts.
Daisy Duke.
I think Haas is going to
I'm
break
not-
out his Daisy Dukes this
Spice
tonight.
Channel. Let's go. Spice Channel.
I actually still owe you guys some assless leather chaps. Incoming.
People demand
You
it.
don't have them. You wear that? That's
Yeah,
going on. That's going on YouTube.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's going on the gram. Yeah.
I don't think you'll do it. I still don't think you'll do it. I don't.
No,
Don't.
you try this reverse psychology crap like you don't think I do it. You'll know I'll do it.
If only
I'm
it
still
works
gonna do
so
whether you
far.
tell me I'm gonna
If
do it or
only
not.
instead of the Bananas Award for Liquored Leagues, we had done the Leather Chaps.
The Ass Chaps Awards. All right, gentlemen, I appreciate your take as always. And again, I didn't come here looking for answers to any questions. It was really just to talk about it from a nostalgic perspective.
That's good because we don't have any.
I mean,
Exactly.
Yeah.
But that's the beauty of this show. You do not come here looking for answers. You come here to have a good time, have a drink, and have a good time. Be entertained, not educated.
I think we do a good job of, and when we get together, I think we do a great job of mixing nostalgia with creating new memories. I'd say every time we've gotten together, we do that. We definitely
I think that's important.
like to reminisce, but we also create new times.
It's been 30 years, and we can look back at the last 30 years, and it is not just, hey, look at that 3 or 4 years of high school. I mean, there are memories over the last 30 years. And if we jump ahead 35 years from now, or 30 years from now, and we look back, we'll now be drawing against 60 years of history. It still won't be, look at those 4 years of high school that defined exactly who we were. No, because we're generating those memories. That's one of the purposes of coming on this show, that we've been doing it for a year, is I would love in 30 years to be able to look back, even though we'll still be doing this show 30 years from now, is look at all the footage, listen to the audio, and it's like, that's who we were at that time.
See, for me, I can't remember shit that happened in '98. So 30 years now, I'm glad there'll be some sort of
yesterday gives
audio,
some kind of a record now moving forward.
I remembered Hub and I being really good at spades.
You'd be the only one.
I remember the last 2 or 3 times that we've gotten together, you quote unquote,
and I don't remember those games.
Yes.
And you were losing.
But in their defense,
I
they
don't
took
remember that
turns,
at
right?
all. I don't remember
They
that
took
at all.
turns.
I'm sure you don't.
We had
BH,
one
flush.
threw out one time, and then the next thing you know, Grinch went catatonic. So
yeah, we had
redacted. Redacted.
Exactly.
The message, nothing else follows. Oh.
I have no recollection of the events in question, Your Honor.
As always, gentlemen, thank you very much. It'll be nice to listen back to this episode. Hopefully it'll make you feel nostalgic when you do it, when it comes out. Just listen. All those memories will come flooding back, even though it won't actually be that long from now, but that's okay. Nostalgia is a fickle thing. Sometimes it hits you right away. Sometimes it's 30 years from now. Depends on your distance. But as always, love having you guys here. Appreciate every one of you and your perspective. As always, to our listeners, all you masturbators out there, go out to our website, aspiriteddebate.com. You can check out our drinks, our episodes, check out our vault. You can hit us up on Instagram at Spirited Debates. Sorry, Mac, I know you run our Instagram right now. I don't mean to bang on.
Look, all I know is you can't remember the website. You're going to tell me.
I know.
You picked me up at the Mars.
I don't have enough distance
so,
from our website to feel nostalgic about it.
Hey, he has a witness.
Shame.
And always check out our YouTube channel, Spirited Debate. Check out our YouTube channel. Drop a like, hit subscribe, click that notification so you know when our new stuff is dropping. Gentlemen, thank you very much. Love you guys being here. I do appreciate you, and we will leave it there.